Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta, let me take off this mic. Let me hear you again. Can I hear you real loud? There we go. All right, now let me go ahead and put this back on so I don't just actually destroy my voice. Welcome, everyone, to the Overwatch League playoffs. It's day 3, and after this, we're down to the final 4. Who wants it more? That's the question that we're gonna answer here today. But I wanna ask you guys, go ahead and shout it out. Who do you think is gonna win today? Go ahead and yell out a team. I love it, I love the energy, and that is exactly what we're gonna be bringing all day long. So folks, the Overwatch League playoffs, day 3 starts right now. Put your shields up for the London Spitfire!
All season long, but so far it has not slowed them even a half step. These players are incredible. They know what they play and they've mastered it. They play it to perfection. The crowd, you have been electric in your support for the London Spitfire. I know it means something to them because when you cheer, they go to that next level. I think they're going to show us something maybe they've never shown us before. Yes, their opponent is scary, but somehow I don't think they're scared. I think these guys have what it takes.
And their opponent, the veterans, the Boston Uprising!
Boo all you want, but facts don't care about your opinion. The Boston Uprising features some of the best players we have ever seen in this sport. 2-time champion Smurf guides in the tanking role. One of the best backlines of all time in Lijiang and Isayaki coming over from the Shanghai Dragons. Birdring, remember him from the 2018 Grand Finals? And Decay. Will he fulfill his destiny to finally win a championship tomorrow?
All right, here we go. This is it. As the London Spitfire and Boston Uprising take to stage, one can move on, the other, their journey ends today. So let's go ahead and get a temperature check. Who are you feeling out here today? How about Boston? How about London? How about Boston again? How about London? Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it. Let's send it over to your casters. It's Vicky Kitty as well as Necra.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy! Hello, Toronto! Thank you so much for welcoming us again here for another day of playoffs. I'm so excited to be joining my partner, Necra, here on the broadcast, and we get to rizz up, clear the skies, because we have one historical match coming to you guys soon. Can London Spitfire do it? Have they figured it out? Riding the momentum after taking out the Atlanta Reign? Or is Boston Uprising Smurf? Being the way that Smurf is, I saw a sign, Smurf and Turf. Can he continue carrying the Boston Uprising and these amazing legacy players to victory?
This is a rematch of the decades right here, especially when you take a look at how both of these teams are juxtaposed against each other. You talk about the legacy, the veterancy of the Boston Uprising, but what about the team that against all odds, after their abysmal start to the season, after they fought their way through the summer stage and the play-ins, earned their spot here at the playoffs and want to prove everybody wrong? The London Spitfire. They are sitting here in the lower bracket ready for their revenge match. This is the 3rd time these teams are gonna play up against each other. Boston Uprising have had the upper hand twice, but it's 3rd time the charm. Can they get it done here today?
With the power of hashtag do it for Danny, Necra.
We gotta get that trending.
We gotta get that trending, and I know that's what London has on their mind every single time that Danny himself gives them his own energy. We are obviously starting off on Control over to Lijiang, which if you look at the set history between these two teams and London's strengths in general, this is where they always come out on top. Control has always been their map to take. Now we gotta see if they can continue on.
But what the biggest difference maker is when you take a look at Boston Uprising also competing on this map is that this is a great map for their competition as well. Every single time that Boston Uprising have had the upper hand over the London Spitfire, it has been with this Bastion, Genji, Orisa, Bap, and Lucio composition that they have been able to find that success with. But you can hear the crowd cheering for Hottie's Reinhardt, and that has been one of the biggest difference makers from this composition and why London Spitfire have been so strong. This time around though, Vicky, a huge wrench into the plans. This is the first time that London Spitfire have committed to this Mei from Backbone to be able to go up against this superstar composition that Boston Uprising have brought out. So is the Mei going to be enough to help swing the tides in their favor as London Spitfire need a Hail Mary to be able to make this the third time?
Although that icicle almost dunking Izayaki in the head, who said, do it for Atlanta. Another script here for the Boston Uprising. Smurf feeling a bit of that pressure and being the first one to go down. Hottie feeling the cheers of the crowd. Taking care of Immortality Field from both sides, and it looks like the London Spitfire with Hottie hitting Lijiang, saying hasta la vista, gone, and now they're going to be able to take over the point first in this round.
First capture going over to the London Spitfire, and that was where they were able to take out Smurf right away. And when you remove that frontline presence from the Boston Uprising, every other piece is able to fall so much faster. Especially when you look at Smurf being able to lead the charge and being able to mitigate all of that damage on the Orisa with the spear spin, you're just able to contest way better against this Reinhardt. But there's the amplification matrix.
Oh my, the damage too. Window Bastion to Window Bastion, but the difference maker here is Backbone being on that Mei has that wall. About to get the Blizzard online here, while Admiral also has that sound barrier ahead of time before Lijiang gone. Decay has that blade and they've already found Landon. No Immortality Field, and they're gonna hold on to that for now. With the Immortality Field from Izayaki, they put themselves into position, they find Sparker, they find Hottie, and they find themselves right back on the point while staggering. Poor Backbone.
Oh, that's so rough too, because all the while during that chaos, Boston Uprising were able to grab the point away from London Spitfire. So that stagger is going to net Boston Uprising so much extra percentage on this first point. They're also able to hold so aggressively when Smurf has access to the Orisa ultimate, and that Terra Surge can be able to just clump everybody together on the Spitfire and make them even more vulnerable to something like the Decay Blade that is also ready to go. So Boston Uprising, they do have the cards in their favor at the moment, but that can surely swing the tides.
Oh, but Smurf is waiting for it right there by the window. Burgering activating, artillery here, but the shatter comes down. The follow-up from the sound barrier from both sides from the Spitfire. Lijiang helping out the rest of Uprising, enabling Burgering the Terror Surge to find Sparker. That does cost Smurf his life here, and Landon puts up the window, and the immediate turnaround to solidify this as Admiral going on the other side. You see Decay trying to back away, rejoining the fight just a little late after he was the first to get picked at the very beginning of that fight, giving London the space that they need to start to take care of, but to stall just slightly before Admiral makes a statement and finds Lijiang.
Nice aggressive play coming through from the London Spitfire. That was incredibly expensive on both sides. And that's going to leave Boston Uprising with just the Decay Blade, looking for an opportunity to use it, but Backbone's going to throw the Blizzard first.
I got a little scared there. The Diamond looks like he almost hit him! The pin and the follow-up as Backbone, after he tosses up the Blizzard, finds Decay. Hottie isolating Smurf over on the other side there too. Decay going down with the blade still in his hand, has not really been able to utilize this whatsoever.
It's been 2 team fights now.
Yeah.
That Decay has just held onto that blade, but we're starting to run out of time for this. Birdring is going to be able to get another artillery strike online that can help to try to open things up, or at least navigate the London Spitfire a little bit easier into those loving arms of that Decay Blade. But it's about whether or not London Spitfire even give them the chance to use it, because right now, London are setting a quick pace with these fights.
Trying to wait and get into position. The window's going to buy them some space and time here. The window on the other side with the tank mode already activated here. Lijiang though gets picked first. That's going to be huge here. And Admiral's about to get another sound barrier. While Hottie's about to get the shatter here too. Here comes the Blazing Decay moving in. You saw the land, but he gets shut down. That nade ricocheting, hitting Decay. Decay straight in the face. And Hadi gonna hold on to that sharp pride for right now. We're looking at Smurf in the face, just try to go for the pin. And it's just gonna be another clear from the London Spitfire in another opening, and they needed it. Boston Uprising at a rating 98% with London about to match them.
And that's so impressive as well. London only needed the amplification matrix in that fight in order to be able to take that away from the Boston Uprising. 2-3 ultimates at this. The Arc Shatter from Hadi trying to hold them at the door.
Right in Smurf's face though, looking at him with no fear. Fortify activated. Terror Surge is online for the Uprising, but Admiral's got that sound barrier. Fighting this 1v1 on the other side. Gets Lijiang gone. Here comes the Blizzard though. Decay taking out Admiral means there is no insurance from the Terror Surge. That was exactly what the Boston Uprising needed to clear the point for this first round.
The fact they were able to take out Admiral as well before he was able to use the sound barrier was a huge finishing blow for the Boston Uprising. But Vicky, what a close round number 1 that we have had between these two teams. And what more could we expect from these two when they've played so much against each other? Gotta see this replay though, because Smurf with the Terror Surge here in these final moments, you see the Spear Spin go forward, and then all of a sudden the Terror Surge just pulls Admiral right into that line of fire. And with taking out that front and back line too, it was just over.
It was also huge too that Decay recognized the lamp as well, so not only took care of Admiral, but also deleted that lamp in the middle of that Terror Surge. Great timing and coordination as we move on to round 2 here. Remember, Lijiang Tower in general is a map that London Spitfire absolutely loves, and the Boston Uprising taking that first round is a statement.
It is a statement, but it was so close. And it was just a frame away from London Spitfire potentially being able to take that. So they're gonna have to take a few deep breaths, come back into this one with another clear head on their shoulders. Sparker's still playing the Bastion. There's no Symmetra. That's another flavor of this composition that we haven't had a chance to see. And without that Symmetra, these rotations from London Spitfire are much harder to make. And that's why Sparker is less vulnerable here.
Much slower, and this is just gonna be Boston Uprising taking that first point here. First control over this point. Another slight stagger onto Backbone, but Birdring recognizing that opportunity to get that first pick and once again delete that lamp.
That Immortality Field is going to be big in this matchup. You've already seen how much it plays a role to be able to deal with Decay's Dragon Blades. Even when you see Birdring use the Artillery Strike, that Immortality Field is such a saving grace. Because you have the ability to get away when you know you have that frame for just a few moments. But there's Amplification Matrices on the line. Boston is going to go ahead and pull theirs first.
Oh, lighting right through that May wall too. It doesn't even matter. Even with the wall trying to block the line of sight of Birdring, right through the window is going to still buy them even more space and time as the London Spitfire patiently going to be able to wait, rotate now around that next corner. But look at the positioning from Boston Uprising. Birdring activating right now the artillery. Smurf has the Terror Charge, he's caught them in the side room. Finding Sparker here, but Backbone and Admiral finds Decay and Izayaki. No lamp here for you. And London Spitfire retaliate back just as strong as they make their way to the point.
Finally able to grab back control of the Boston Uprising after they were able to capture 53%. So London Spitfire now, they need to look at this Admiral sound barrier and if it's going to be enough to be able to get them through this Decay Blade. Decay has had a couple of issues being able to get this online and actually through the London Spitfire. So if London Spitfire can hit him where it hurts and hit them first, Decay may not have a chance to use that, and Admiral can use the sound barrier a bit more aggressively, or even in response to the Terror Surge from Smurf.
That or they can actually option select too. Bait it out with the Blade Gear too. Smurf is trying to keep them right here by the light. Oh my goodness! Goodbye! See you later, Sparker! Landon's gonna meet his doom and Hadi takes out Decay with them, but this just benefits Smurf and the rest of the Boston Uprising to retake this point.
Smurf's Orisa mechanics are so good, and you can see how Boston Uprising have perfected this composition to be able to deal with the London Spitfire special. And a lot of that comes down to how well-timed Smurf is with all of these Orisa cooldowns. You saw this spear for when the shield is down, being able to pin people off of the map. What fantastic positioning.
Oh, he wants it. He's waiting, backs away real quick.
He's hunting.
Yeah, especially with that wall that came up. Yeeting the Javelin like we just saw earlier when he got that environmental here. Izayaki's got the window. Right through the Jabber came through! And they lined them up like a shish kebab with the Terror Surge into the Bird Ring combo on the artillery. Boston Uprising feasting once more, nearing final fight territory in their favor.
The earth is trembling right now. Admiral's gonna have to get there with the Lucio to try to stall out this point and trigger the overtime. But we're also gonna see Backbone come back on the Tracer as well. They are running out of time, though the artillery strike is gonna have to be enough to try to move Boston Uprising off of this point to give London Spitfire an opening.
Oh, but with this delay, Decay went all the way through the back. He's found landed. He gets punished, but Smurf gets Sparker right back, holding hands with Decay with some help from Lijiang Tower to put him into position. Gonna be able to slide right back onto the map. Overtime ticking away. Bodies missing from the London Spitfire before Admiral still continues to stall as long as he can to add in some help for Hadi. Backbone will be able to come right back on from the Tracer, but Easy Yaki finding Admiral at the very end. Hadi could only do so much. You see Sparker running with the Bastion legs, and the Boston Uprising taking game number 1 in a dominating fashion, 2-0.
That first round was really close, but Market was a whole different beast. And Boston Uprising were able to play around the architecture of the map, able to force those fights into a better position for them and from the defensive side, and they were just able to take it. That was a clean second round. And now we're gonna have to see London Spitfire make some adjustments. The Mei was nice, but it was passive. And those skills that we ended up seeing yesterday from Backbone to be able to play reactively with the Mei wall and the ice block, they just got forced so early with how aggressive the Boston Uprising were playing.
What I really like about this comp that Boston has been able to find as an answer against this Ryan comp from Spitfires, the option select and being able to burn and rotate through these ults. The Terror Surge, while Decay was aware, took care of the lamp, took care of Admiral when he went down with the sound barrier, but then in combination with Bird Ring too, sends out the Javelin after setting him out, spinning the Javelin here too. It sends them all off the map. This was a deciding fight here as Hadi went for the reset after taking down Decay with them, but then also in this situation, they see the Maywall had come up originally behind them. Bird Ring comes in with the artillery strike, and the Terror Surge brought everybody to him, so that way he knew immediately where he needed to land with that artillery strike.
It was just a great combination of ultimates, and we're gonna have to come up with a great name for that too, because no one does it quite like the Boston Uprising. But now that the Spitfire are down a map, they get a chance to pick where we go next, and we're gonna be heading over to Blizzard World. What a unique choice to look at when we see both of these teams go head-to-head with the Reinhardt versus the Orisa. But can the Spitfire tie up the series? We're gonna have to find out after this short break.
Welcome back, everyone. Boston Uprising looking to humble the London Spitfire, taking map number 1 after a rather close round 1, making a pretty big statement in that second round. And I think, Necra, the biggest staple, as we take a look at his face, it's got to be Smurf, one of the most, probably if not the most flexible tank that we have in the league. And we highlight him for all the right reasons. At Des, Johnny specifically touched up on what an insane player Smurf is. This was just from that first map alone, but Smurf has so many answers when it comes to dealing with the London Spitfire, specifically talking about the Orisa, the option coverage that they have with the Genji, with Decay, burgering on top of that. This was such a beautiful play here too. We saw Izayaki pretending like he was in the Matrix, jumping around the shatters, being able to put down that lamp at the perfect time, but it was Smurf enabling the rest of his team here, following up with that Terra Surge combo.
That was just excellent team coordination through and through. Smurf has always been such a stellar player, and you can see why he's cheesing. Like, you can hear the fans cheering for him. He has the best Terra Surge efficiency out of all of the Orisa in the league right now, and that has just been the perfect weapon versus this London Spitfire composition. But it's been so much of a treat to watch both of these teams so far in their journey of the season. And now Spitfire get a chance to try to bring things back to their home field advantage with their map pick of Blizzard World.
Last time we saw these two teams play, obviously, was day number 1, where they actually ended up going to Kings Row, and Boston was able to take that 2-1. We saw them immediately verse them 3-1 at the end of that series, but going on to Blizzard World, we can maybe expect to see that Sim teleport coming out. We have to see how that they can try to get to the high ground, but it is incredibly difficult to pull that off, especially once you get that payload around that corner to that first choke. To try to get to that second area checkpoint, to get around with the Sim is rather difficult.
That was one thing that the Boston Uprising did really well, too. In their very first series, you could see how they started to get a bit more predictive with where that teleporter placement was going, as well as what type of counter rotations the London Spitfire were going to make. And I'm really excited to be able to see this change up from the London Spitfire, because we were missing the Symmetra. And Lijiang Tower, we ended up seeing Backbone on the Mei and Sparker on the Bastion, but the Symmetra has just been such a key piece of London Spitfire's strategy that they just look lackluster without it. How sneaky can you be with those Symmetra teleporters to wrap around the team, and how much can you really accomplish to be able to just outsmart your opponents? The K is going to come out of that attacking spawn, try to get a quick pick with the Widowmaker, but it's going to be back to basics here for Boston.
I also think about the jab spin also knocking him off the high ground, or just the javelin in general.
That's true.
Yeah, something that they could keep in mind, but here comes the Sim teleport, so that way they could get right back to the point, reposition themselves after seeing where Boston Uprising want to contest them. It looks like they're going to be able to wrap around to try to force out the supports if they want to hang out to the high ground. Everybody from London actually was on the high ground. They give up that space just for now to contest it by the choke. And Sparker with that nade, finding Decay once again like he has a magnet here. Backbone baiting them, putting them back into the microwave before finding themselves right back to the high ground. This is for positional advantage here, but it's finding that patience after getting that first pick that allows London to keep up that aggression, while Boston Uprising still has that positional advantage before dropping down here. Engaging on this fight here is going to be Sparker, just backing away, hand in hand with Hottie. I love the disengage, though, the counter rotate from London, giving Boston the space.
They're going to be set up for another re-engage, though, but Smurf is able to check them on every corner. You gotta look behind you, though.
Oh, it looks like Smurf was playing ping pong real quick with the jab spin, looking at both windows side by side. Landon had used the lamp before, but Smurf took way too much pressure. Decay comes in, and with Burberry going down, it's the trade. Lijiang gone, had the sound barrier, uses it at the very end, but Admiral had that to match with 3 members of London still alive. Boston are still continuing this aggression without giving too much time for London to reset.
Yeah, but do you see how close they got? Boston Uprising almost completely captured that first point, and they're not letting up the pressure. This is forcing out extra ultimates from London as they need to keep Boston away.
By mere pixels, the Decay goes down at 75, almost having played with a Photon Barrier coming up from Backbone. That's going to be the respect and space that they need from Boston to just back away. Smurf about to re-engage, about to get that Terra Surge.
When Smurf has out a Terra Surge, You can hear the crowd cheering for London so they don't fall to that one. The Earth Shatter Smurfs on his back!
Right there! While the artillery strike from Burberry comes down, the shatter comes in from Hadi instead. Izayaki had that lamp. Good timing. Sparker answers back with his own artillery strike. Blocks out the exit from Lijiang. Smurf goes down next. So much damage output coming in from Backbone, who has had all the time to charge up, while Hadi gets the finishing blow, rather the pin onto Decay.
This is the London Spitfire that we all know and love. This is the composition and how it's supposed to function. And you can see how this inclusion of the Backbone Symmetra has been able to accelerate the game plans of London Spitfire. They're able to make those rotations so much faster, and they're having a way better reaction to what Boston Uprising are throwing at them. With a Symmetra teleporter, they have an escape mechanism away from something like the Terror Surge. Smurf has yet to use it, and they might not even be able to this time either.
He is so good with that tac nade, always finding the perfect angle. Decay though, with the deflect onto Landon. Izayaki about to have that window once they try to re-engage, trying to force themselves to stay on this high ground. Decay with the blade, looking to get into position here, takes up to the high ground with the dash, the Terror Surge as they try to get away in the lovely hands of Smurf, finding Backbone and Admiral. It's a cleanup on aisle 3 as Boston Uprising finally get this payload out of the garage.
That was a great combination once again, and that was when Izayaki was also not present to be able to help heal up that front line. So excellent awareness by Boston Uprising and patience to be able to execute that particular combo of ults. But London now, they're back, and they are playing so close to this card. They cannot get stuck here, though, by Boston, and the amplification matrix from Izayaki is enough to be able to get London to rotate away. But they are right around this corner, ready for Boston Uprising to make an appearance.
Playing ring around the rosy, even with the Sim teleport, the Sims turret setup, finding Backbone, sound barrier to allow Boston Uprising to force their way right through that choke point. Even looking dead in the mirror of that window, it costs Smurf's life. They trade that for Hadi. Admiral used that sound barrier earlier just to keep London Spitfire alive, and Landon goes down. They had used the lamp earlier on, and Decay with Izayaki gets to clean up everything. Decay is going absolutely crazy right now. 12 kills. He's only died 3 times so far at the very beginning here, but it's that space now that they can build up going into that second checkpoint.
Boston Uprising are going with so much momentum to be able to continue through this second point. The Symmetric Teleporter is great though for London Spitfire to close the distance, but Boston Uprising already had a firm handle on this high ground. They're able to dance around this, whether or not they're going to stay on top or just go below to play around the natural architecture of the map. There are a lot of hidey holes here for Boston Uprising to get out of this damage, but not when you've got a giant hammer.
So worth it when you're staring at the barrel of a shatter to solo shatter and find Smurf from the back. Taking care of Boston Uprising now has allowed the London Spitfire to now set up in the spot that we were wondering was going to be difficult, while also stalling out Izayaki, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Baptiste is just so easy to stall as well. There's not really a whole lot that you can do, otherwise like you still generate some of your health back. You can, that's just the perfect target. And now Boston Uprising have less than a minute remaining to try to get the second checkpoint and get themselves more time in the bank to head into the third. But they're getting dangerously close to that combo that gives London so much trouble. Smurf is just a couple away from being able to get that Terror Surge.
They put down the window though, and they're gonna match that with the window on the other side from Landon. Comes the artillery first from Burgering. Looking to see where Landon's positioning is as they put it right behind them. Doesn't look like the lamp had been used just yet, but playing right by this choke, playing this patiently like we have already seen the London do in that first payload section. Trying to actually find the pin right there too, while Smurf sends out the Javelin. He's about to get the Terror Surge. Burgering with the nade finds Hadi though, as he tried to go for that pin, overextending the full Tom barrier, only separating themselves from Hadi, while Smurf holds forward to find Sparker, clearing out this section, the second checkpoint. Now managing to wrap around in that next corner to build up that space. Look already at the aggressive positioning that Burgering's taking.
This is where the going gets tough for Boston though, because this third point can be notoriously difficult to full capture, but they have a Terror Surge, and when there's a Terror Surge, there seems to be a way, especially when it is in Smurf's hands. But London, they have some tools to deal with this. You've got the sound barrier. Lijiang's going first.
But the sound barrier first coming in from Lijiang. Admiral can't answer back. He just held on to it in that moment from that Terror pressure's pulling everybody in. And it's Decay to follow up right afterwards, popping off. Nobody stopped them, nobody to stall this payload as it wraps around that next corner. But at least Spitfire will still have that sound barrier to contest.
They're gonna need to use that sound barrier, but the timing is so important because Izayaki has that amplification matrix, and if you put that too close to the spawn room doors, London Spitfire have no choice except to try to go right through that damage. So there's the amp matrix, there's the wall in response, Backbone's on the Mei right now, but they're gonna have to get it done with the sound barrier now. Get aggressive.
Less than 30 seconds, the sound barrier comes in from Admiral. Landon has that window too. Hadi also waiting to put himself into position with that shatter in hand, but Boston Uprising managing to back away around that next corner, waiting for Smurf to make that first move here, forcing their way out. They know that Hadi has that shatter, and with Backbone being back on this lane, look how quickly he was able to get that Blizzard. Sends out the shatter in Smurf's face, who has the jab spin ready to go. The artillery strike, though, finds the mortality field, but the London Spitfire have the advantage. Overtime ticking away before it still is fully stopped. Lijiang gone, though, to take care of him. He's the last member alive from the Boston Uprising. Just a matter of time. They prevent the Uprising from getting this payload to the finish line.
That does put an important win condition on the board here for London to be able to win their map pick. Boston Uprising still got that payload very, very far. And now when they're on the defending side, their composition gets pretty strong. You have to find a way to dislodge Birdring. Birdring was a problem even in their series yesterday versus the Hangzhou Spark. That Bastion can be so difficult to approach. But with the Symmetra, that does help to close the distance, maybe even get behind that Bastion and force Birdring into a more disadvantageous position where he can't just sit there in tank mode.
At least in front of the window, because when you consider how much damage comes out from the tank mode and then the Sim charge being 2, it is so much damage.
And Izayaki, though, has been charging up these amplification matrices so fast. He's been outpacing Landon at this point to be able to get those online, and when Boston Uprising have that as a tool in their pocket, it is much easier to be able to use that as a zoning element. But Genji, too, what a unique piece of this team, where Decay, every single time he's able to hit the blade, whether it's with the artillery strike, the Terra Surge, it's just been so efficient at being able to have that fight win.
Or even forcing out the lamp from Landon like we had seen previously. It's always making sure that that insurance policy is just off the table for the London Spitfire, which is just great coordination from Boston.
It opens up the door for anything else from Boston Uprising to do exactly what it needs to. That was dangerous, that's risky.
You knew what they were doing there.
You almost got away with it too, but you can't let that happen in the playoffs.
Smurf was standing right there, ready to stare at danger right in the face. Also noting where London Spitfire is going to rotate. Obviously, Backbone going right back to the Sim, just going to be able to try to TP their way to maybe force their way into high ground unless they're going to rotate through the back end.
Smart rotation here. London Spitfire don't want to give away too much positioning to the Boston Uprising. So they're going to wrap around the point, they're going to try to force them off so that London Spitfire can take that away, especially while they're waiting for that teleporter to come back online. And everybody on Boston's getting pretty low. They're forcing out a lot of important healing cooldowns now coming through Boston.
So that pressure from the nade coming out from Sparker is always so scary. Comes Hadi though, right on that next corner, sees that jab spin, stares at it right in the face, and the jab throw toss actually comes in. The land from both sides have been used up, but Izyaki's so incredibly low, and so is Birdring. You see the trade from both Bastions here, and the window used up first from Izayaki may have just given them that advantage here, but this fight is lasting for so long as Backbone finds him right back. Lijiang gone, nearing that sound barrier, but Landon forcing his way right up to this point to get that first hit.
Oh, the amplification matrix just gonna be used here a little bit selfishly. You want to make sure the Decay is just off the table. And you buy some time for the rest of the London Spitfire to get back here, but Smurf's already so low.
Oh, but they were just waiting on the sound barrier. Perfect timing here from Lijiang gone, but it's still not enough. Birdring gets deleted from Sparker. Landon had used that window earlier off of the photon barrier and the sound barrier from Admiral. Keep the London Spitfire in this fight. Make way for Hadi. He's going to be able to clear some space, already get put into position as they get the payload moving.
And more importantly as well, London Spitfire captured that in much less time than the Boston Uprising. So you have 4.5 minutes for London Spitfire to be able to make it through this second objective, and they're already going to be taking high ground presence. They're going to back away a little bit, doing a little bit of a scouting mission, giving some space to the Boston Uprising. but they have a lot of momentum, and they're just waiting patiently for Decay to try to come in with this Blade. It's a patient game now. Play defensively, let Decay make the first move.
Oh, he goes in with the dash up in the air, dives right in with the Blade, trying to isolate Admiral, who's in some trouble, but Landon helps him, protects him. Izayaki had used the lamp earlier too. Backing away though, Decay is so far ahead and didn't get that output from the Blade that they were looking for.
He's so far behind the team too. And he's dead!
No way!
He's just dead! He got stuck back there after the Blade came out!
He tried to isolate Admiral, Landon saves him, and he's too far gone to make his way back to the safety of his team, and then he gets picked up. Are you kidding me here? Smurf does have that Terror Surge though. Here can be the combo that we saw earlier.
Yeah, and Decay still has time to be able to get back. So you do have the Artillery Strike, the Terror Surge, a great combination of ults, but the Amplification Matrix too, and now Lijiang got us down!
No way. With the lamp being called in from Izayaki, the window, looking on both sides. So the Artillery are coming in. So I'm trying to get into position, but immediately repositioning themselves, getting onto the high ground, which is so important.
That's why the Symmetric Teleporter is so valuable. That was a huge escape mechanism.
Oh, and he gets everybody here. Smurf and Birdring put on a shish kebab for Backbone to finish off. Maybe getting some leftovers for later. Izayaki literally won, actually managing to survive as he puts out his own lamp. Smurf had used that Terror Surge earlier as Hadi goes in for the pin, finds himself against that pillar, swinging the hammer like a fly swatter, staring at Smurf straight in the face. Well, he's got no sustainability other than Lijiang Tower right there, and they won't be able to recontest at least the sound barrier, but now, right now, London Spitfire have all the space for the second checkpoint.
I don't know if they even want to come in and recontest with this though, with the sound barrier, because Sparker's going to be able to zone them all off with this Artillery Strike, and that is going to net London Spitfire the second checkpoint. No other picks are going to come through here, but if that had happened, huge snowball effect. London Spitfire, though, 3 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock to be able to make it to that white box of victory. That is the win condition that they set for themselves, and they still have ultimates to spare. They're going to want to take an eco push here. Boston Uprising have a lot of valuable ultimates on the board, especially with Decay's Blade.
No TP for them to get onto the high ground. Landon has that win. Oh no, he's unable to save Backbone. The nade from Birdring now sets up Boston Uprising to get very aggressive in this choke point before just backing away, wasting even more time away from the London Spitfire. About to reach less than 3 minutes here as Decay is about to get the Blade to match out with the sound barrier from Lijiang.
Still jockey for position as well. This corner is so important for both teams. But when Boston Uprising do have a bit more of a positional advantage, the Photon Barrier can help mitigate some of that though.
Love this patience that we're seeing from the Uprising. They use that window just to clear that space, waste the Photon Barrier in that same breath. Just waiting to see who's going to use that sound barrier here first to get into that position.
The later beat will win.
Waiting patiently here around that next corner. You see Decay just getting into position, but right behind the payload, he profits. Finding 4 over on the other side with the shatter, releasing Gun, trying to save them with the beats. Cannot come through, but at least with the lamp from Izayaki, it's a second life. Smurf is about to get that Terror Surge. They're trying to bait them into that side room. They're not trying to take the bait just yet. And with the artillery, maybe trying to force them all the way back. Love the pieces that we're seeing right here. With Decay losing his life and answering back to punish the aggression is Sparker. Smurf used that Terror Surge on what?
He lost it!
On what?
He lost it! Smurf was hitting the Terror Surge and the London Spitfire took them out immediately! And now there is not much meterage left. Boston Uprising can come out of the spawn gates with that Blade, but it's gonna have to be a big one, and London Spitfire still have 1 minute and 45 seconds to work with. So this is multiple fight attempts if they're able to take them fast enough.
This could be a chance to come back the window, but staring right across the Photon Barrier, breaking it through, and this is what we see usually in the combo between the tank mode into that barrier, into that window, the Artillery Strike, being able to destroy Izayaki's lamp.
Blade.
Yeah, take a look at that Blade that Decay's been holding on to for right now, but Lijiang's also about to get that sound barrier. Wants to wait to combo that together in case London Spitfire try to approach, but gonna hold on to it for right now. Hadi, though, puts himself in a position where Sparker, and you see Admiral coming in, the answer back from the Blade, but he used the Blade in front of the window, in front of the Matrix. Oh, and it's profiting, and no Boston Uprising, nowhere to be seen, as a London Spitfire take map number 2.
Tying up the series right now. It's going to be 1-1. And London, Boston, this match is delivering. great way to be able to force Boston Uprising into a bad position as well, but they've got to hit that blade reactively. If you don't have the chance to set up, you're already at a disadvantage. Because London Spitfire are able to just focus that down, and that has happened a few times in the second half of Blizzard World, where London, they just focus down the target that's using their ult.
Decay with that angsty blade in front of the window.
It was rough.
And they also had just disengaged so quickly, specifically talking about the London Spitfire, recognizing and waiting, baiting it out, putting out that window on such a good time, and just staring at him using it on nobody in that moment because they already got rotated right behind in that same instance. Beautiful plays. Also, I want to pinpoint the Photon Bears. Yeah, we saw at the very end get destroyed from the window into the tank mode from Burgering in combination with Izayaki. Saw it a few times actually here at the very beginning too. This time it was Sparker hand in hand with Landon before he had went down. But I love the answers between the Sound Bears and Lijiang and Landon, or rather Admiral in this case, to see who they could put into position to contest that push.
London Spitfire being able to incorporate the Symmetra back in showed us so much more why this is their special composition, why this has been able to get them that success, to be able to make it through play-ins and to the point where they are in the playoffs. And this match has everything on the line. Winner gets the top 4, loser has to go home. And Boston Uprising are picking Suravasa.
All right, Suravasa being our next one that we're going to be moving on to Flashpoint. Spitfire have shown amazing coordination with the SimTP. Can they continue with this tied match series on our hands? We're going to have to see on the other side of this break. never count out the London Spitfire, tying the series 1-1. The hard stare from Sparker, who absolutely practices geometry, by the way, with some of these nades.
Right?
We were calling it out all in that last map, but putting in so much damage with some help from that window.
So much damage, so much power, so many first picks as well. And what a treat too. This is a player, this is a team that we got a chance to kind of watch grow up in a way.
Yes.
We were in contenders following their journey through European contenders, and when they all got brought up to the Overwatch League, it just felt like we were like watching these players become stars.
Yeah.
And they're showing up today, just happy to be here, happy to play the game, and you can tell what that lack of weight and responsibility on their shoulders is really doing for them. They're able to just perform, have fun, and they didn't get mentally boomed after that first map.
Literally history being shattered, but also the fact that we get to see the players that Necker and I were able to watch from the very beginning grow into these all-stars that they are today, these titans, as they make a statement here against the team that put them in the elimination bracket in the first place, looking to get their revenge. We are moving on to map number 3 on Suravasa.
Suravasa too. When it comes down to Flashpoint, London Spitfire have always preferred to play on New Junk City. But the funny thing about that is that they've also lost New Junk City more than Suravasa. So maybe this isn't the best tactical decision that Boston Uprising could have made, but only time will tell as we end up going forward with this next map. The biggest boon to both of these teams is that these are smaller flashpoints that have a lot of enclosed space. So no matter how you fight it, you're going up close and personal with a Bastion. Whether it is supported by an amplification matrix, or you're going to see it with just the Lucio speed to help get you even closer to the opposition. But London Spitfire aren't changing anything right now. They're still hovering over the Symmetra and the Bastion. That is a change from what we saw in the first map of Lijiang Tower. And Boston Uprising, they're doing it again. It's gonna be these classic comps for both teams.
It worked the first time, and the crowd was giving them their energy. We get to see it again, this time on Flashpoints. Already getting activated with Backbone, putting himself on the soldier just to get into position quicker, and that sustainability that he can help for himself, while Admiral helps taxi along the rest of Spitfire. But Birdring paying for his position by that choke point. Backbone answering back, helping out Sparker alongside Admiral here, and they already have the advantage in terms of numbers with the trade from Izayaki, putting in so much damage, close to already getting the window himself. The lamp was used earlier from Landon here, but it's the London Spitfire already trying to rotate onto that point.
I like the Backbone soldier pick just to be able to get on a spawn, use the teleporter early, switch back over to the soldier, but now he's back over to the Symmetra to try to get back in just a little bit faster. London Spitfire able to capture first, but Ant Matrix versus Ant Matrix.
Looking for the window of their soul, but Sparker's the one who pays. Birdring getting put into position. Admiral and Decay back with a number advantage in favor for Uprising. Birdring had looked for so long, he was so low before Admiral took him out, and Admiral had to pay for it. Smurf is going to have that Terror Surge for that next fight, but with no sustainability, London Spitfire are going to reset.
London Spitfire had to back away as well. They gave up the Flashpoint, and now Boston Uprising are already going to match that and then some. So market right now is going to be hotly contested, waiting for London to come back with the Earthshatter. Hottie is going to need to stay out of Smurf's line of sight though, because it's tank versus tank here, and Smurf has a big advantage with this ultimate, being able to group up the London Spitfire as soon as they walk in.
Artillery strike though coming in from Sparker first. Here comes the shadow right afterwards. It's only found Birdring here, and Lijiang's got that sound barrier after that lamp is used from Izayaki. But this split positioning that the Boston Uprising are holding before they try to get aggressive, right in their face with the Terror Surge. Admiral with the answer, with the sound barrier, keeping all the Spitfire alive right through it, means that they don't have anything to protect them from Decay's blade. It's found Hottie. Sparker goes down next before Landon finds himself on the other side of that blade. Boston Uprising now retake the point. Well, they're already sitting at 99%.
Was a very valiant effort there by Admiral to try to stall out that point and maybe buy London Spitfire some time to be able to get back in and recontest. But that is going to be market on Suravasa going over to the Boston Uprising as we end up getting the next flashpoint, we're gonna head over to Ruins now in that top left corner, and Boston Uprising are gonna be able to beat London Spitfire to the punch. They get a chance to get set up just a little bit better, but that Symmetra teleporter coming in very handy here so that London Spitfire can stay out of the LOS of this Bastion.
Oh, so much damage. Admiral backing away, landed with his own window here. The artillery strike trying to block their exit route though. He finds two onto Landon in backbone, and then the nade. Birdring with the 3K, make it a 4K. Birdring going crazy here as Boston Uprising take advantage over this next point first.
That's the playoffs Birdring. That's the playoffs Birdring right there. And Birdring had so much impact in that match yesterday. Just at Hangzhou Spark started to get really smart to it. But here it is again, just so safe, being able to play behind Smurf. Decay's the one that's going to be in danger right now, though. But there's still so much natural architecture to play around as Boston are just getting ready for another onslaught.
Oh, here comes the mowing down from Sparker, though. Decay still fights Admiral and Hadi going down. Right through that doorway, Sparker could do nothing. But look at the horrors unfolding before his eyes. The artillery strike just to block out some more, and also stalling on the point to get some extra progress. Oh, and taking down Izayaki with them. Birdring is the next one, and Sparker, well, he was alone watching his team get taken down. He's able to not only maintain his control on the points, but take down two with them.
That was a perfect off angle for him to take as well, because who on the Boston Uprising do you really send after him? If Hadi is keeping the front line busy, then the only person that can go there is Decay. And you saw how Sparker was playing around the deflect to make sure that at the right time, he was really able to try to get that damage down to force Decay away, and then get into a position to be able to use that ult. So now, London Spitfire, they are on the brink of being able to get this next flashpoint, but Decay has a blade. Again, that Terror Surge is coming online too, and Boston Uprising are gonna have a ton to be able to throw at this next fight.
My eyes on the sound barrier that Admiral's building up right now. Landon's also about to get that window. Siaki has one first, though. He puts it down. Landon may match that here, too, as the Boston Uprising make their way onto the points with London Spitfire holding these two different split positions with this border. Smurf just trying to take care of it. He's got the Terror Surge. The Shatter comes out to find Birdring just exactly where Smurf wants them, on a silver platter to take out Backbone. Decay goes in with the dash and the reset as Birdring finishes them off. They lose out on Lijiang, but it's fine. He'll come right back in with the sound barrier going on to the next point.
Smurf is such a Giga Chad. Have you noticed every time he gets below half HP, he sees an amplification matrix in the way and he's like, I do not care. I know my team is behind me. I know I'm gonna get the resources that I need, and he just walks right into them.
Oh, London Spitfire trying to approach it from the high ground, originally dropping down with that sound barrier. The lamp used up to help on Sparker, the photon barrier to buy in space. Overtime ticking away as they're not trying to give this up. They flip the point right back, and Hadi finding two. Boston Uprising, only with Decay left, are able to take this right back as London Spitfire with the hands of Hadi swinging the hammer.
There we go, Ruins going over to London. It's tied up 1-1, and now we go over to our third flashpoint on Suravasa. We're heading down to the lower right-hand corner to go to Garden. What a beautiful flashpoint. And what a great placement here for the Boston Uprising as they get a chance to get there first.
Also rather open to allow a lot more rotations off the Symmetra teleporter, something that the London Spitfire are going to take advantage of, even if the Boston Uprising have that positional advantage coming out of their spawn. Here comes the artillery now from Sparker. Hadi comes in with the Shatter, but Izayaki is trying to put down the Immortality Field, but it wasn't enough. The artillery strike to follow up, not only to delete the Immortality Field, but to take two down with them. The answer and option select from London Spitfire is chef's kiss.
You talked about the open space. Look at how they use the Symmetra teleporter there to be able to teleport behind the team. And then who would have ever expected that? Birdring is sitting right in the front and they dish it back at them with the artillery strike on top. There was nowhere for the Boston Uprising to go. But now it's time for Boston to see if they can dish it right back.
Actual insane as Decay activates the blade. He's incredibly low. Ooh, that deflect. Staring Landon in the face like a mosquito before managing his way right around the corner beyond the wall, gets the dash, finds Hadi. Even if Hadi takes care of Izayaki, that is fine. Still have Lijiang gone for sustainability. The sound barrier from Admiral,
what?
just to keep themselves alive, but is it, I mean, they're just stalling for as long as possible at this point, but was it worth it when the Uprising are about to get the Terror Surge and then have a sound barrier of their own?
No, I don't think that was worth it at all. It felt like in the moment, Maybe there was a glimmer of hope to be able to stall the point long enough that you get it into last fight territory, but you called out why that is so impactful, because now that is off the board for this Terror Surge, and London have had some trouble being able to fight past this.
Well, they know what he wants. Every single time he approaches for the Terror Surge too, he always goes in with the jab spin. Everybody in his hands. Finding Hadi in the side room with the rest of the London Spitfire holding their spitting is right back to the spawn. Birdring finishing them off with the 3K, and Boston Uprising retake that point.
And that's exactly why you just want to be able to have any sort of extra sustain. That Immortality Field went down so early, and that Photon Barrier, you can just walk through that and past it. And now the Amp Matrix.
Oh, burns them down right through the window. Birdring getting enabled here, and Smurf holding forward to find Landon and Sparker. The crowd giving them their energy as they're going to be able to recontest again. 99%, nobody left from the London Spitfire to find their way onto that point, so it's on to the next one.
Boston Uprising are sitting at flashpoint match point. We're heading back down to Palace, and let's see. I mean, London Spitfire, they do have some tools to work with. You've got the Wombo combo again. See if the Earth Shatter and the Artillery Strike can be enough to be able to bully the Boston Uprising off of this point. But they've got to strike first, they've got to strike hard.
Artillery Strike, oh, Hadi fighting Ghost, sending the Fire Strike up in the air. Artillery Strike coming in from the high ground here too, from Sparkle before approaching. Here comes the Artillery Strike answer from Birdring. Hadi though sees them in the corner, wants to get into position. He wants that Shatter so bad. Here it goes! Finds Smurf from Birdring. Izzyaki at the lamp, but it's not enough. When you're stuck in the room, Sparker profits alongside Hadi, swinging the Mosquito Squatter, and Sparker with a 3K as Spitfire claimed this point first.
Tiny Overwatch is back in action, and that is where London Spitfire will thrive. Able to capture this point first, and now to be able to try to match the flashpoint advantage, they have to be able to keep control of that. This time around, I want to see Admiral be able to use the sound barrier just a little bit more reactively. Especially when he's been really good at being able to get those online after Lijiang has already hit his. So you know that you have the extra sustain as long as the rest of London Spitfire can stay alive. So for London, in order to keep this, Lijiang has to use the sound barrier first, and then there needs to be a response from Admiral.
Oh man, the way that you're trying to bait two, trying to split them up right through there with the sound barrier to put them in position. A Terror Surge from Smurf. Admiral though, you mentioned it, Netra, with the reaction, had that sound barrier to answer back. Landon was so low. Izzyaki had used his lamp earlier, but so did Landon. No protection here, as with the counter rotate, Backbone tries to get out of that opposition, but dashing right into their face is gonna be Decay. Izzyaki will be able to come right back in with that window, finding Hadi and Sparker though. Spitfire have their attention split in so many different directions, and Boston Uprising waltz their way onto the point, but London Spitfire is sitting at 97%.
It's really good that they didn't use anything else there either, because it's just so devastating to lose such a main source of healing from your team so early. You could tell that London Spitfire were struggling to be able to get their health up to a reasonable amount, that they felt comfortable being able to go toe-to-toe with Boston. They did get 97% though, and that is a much more comfortable region to be in terms of percentage. So they get to come back in with the Artillery Strike this time around. Hadi's gonna have another Earth Shatter, and they were really good about dealing with these Boston Uprising ults already.
Okay, we get the fall from the Artillery Strike, but that cost Hadi's life. They try to go for the combo, leaving Hadi exposed right afterwards. Even if the lamp was there to try to help him out, the answer from the Boston Uprising was beautiful, using Izyaki's window right there, and nothing else, and they're gonna have a plethora of ultimates for that next fight.
That was fantastic, and 3 of the most heavy-hitting ultimates from Boston are already online. Where is Birdring going?
He is speeding his way around with the artillery, at least, just trying to hit them from afar, as they're gonna be able to try to cut off London Spitfire.
Just try to get somebody while they make their income in.
Oh, the sound barrier from Lijiang gone. Decay comes in with the blade, not protected, but still finding Backbone and Admiral. No backline left. Make it 3. Decay stopping the push, as it's only Hadi left with a dream. Nothing left on the board as Boston Uprising look to put themselves at match point.
What a clean Suravasa coming out from the Boston Uprising. That was a fast flashpoint. Every single time as well, when they were able to get that value conversion from their ultimates, is where you see them be at their strongest. And the DPS lineup of the Boston Uprising right now, they are a force to be reckoned with. It's gonna be Another map here for the London Spitfire to try to get back into this one.
There is such a clear difference between Birdring and Sparker in that map alone. Birdring has 42 elims, 17 final blows. Actually insane of the impact that we saw right there from the damage output of the Bastions. We highlighted it before getting into this map. It's nice to highlight it again as we take a look at Decay with these pristine blades going into these fights.
I just look at how good both of these teams are, though, at managing their positional awareness. Whenever Decay has a blade, you can see how the rest of the Boston Uprising sandwich them in some way. Whether or not it's with a cooldown or another ultimate, just to be able to help zone them into position and make that blade go through just a little bit easier. At London Spitfire, the same thing. And these flashpoint maps are always so tricky because of how fast they go by. You don't have a whole lot of time to set up, and you need to go in with a reasonable game plan.
And that was Smurf with the jab spin right in the face of the Shatter. Also something that they're picking up on is habits, and it's the habit of the Shatter into the artillery strike that we usually get to see from the London Spitfire. Sometimes we see it obviously from Boston as option select, but it's nice to know that that was an answer in that side room that they were baiting.
But that's why, hey, London Spitfire, they try to change it up a little bit. That's not a combination that they were always going for, but it's more just keep them on their toes. Is that actually on the docket? Who you guys got? You got London Spitfire winning this?
Or is it gonna be the Boston Uprising? Sitting at match point. This next map could determine everything we're gonna have to see on the other side of this break.
I'm back strong. I'm back strong. I'm back strong.
Welcome back, everyone. Boston Uprising, sitting at match point. after a beautiful Suravasa push there. Claiming the heads of the London Spitfire was Decay with that blade. 15 final blows, 12 Dragon Blade kills. Something that we highlighted was the efficiency of the option coverage on the Terror Surge, whether it be the blade to force out the lamp, finding Hadi after he uses that pin, diving in with the dash like you currently see right here. But it was the beautiful utilization and understanding the space that Smurf first bought for both Burgering and Decay to enable them.
London Spitfire on Blizzard World did a great job of mitigating the potential of this Dragon Blade as well. But now that Boston Uprising have had a little bit more time to work with and can see once again how London Spitfire is changing up the pace of these fights, Decay has had a much easier time to be able to work with those types of combinations, to be able to get those blades to do their job. But this might be London Spitfire's last chance. Boston Uprising looked very clean on Suravasa, and they're going to need to pull out all the stops here on this next map of Esperanza to keep themselves in this series and keep their playoff dreams alive.
We have the London Spitfire fans in the crowd trying to give them their energy.
Oh, come on, I know there's more of you out there. Let's hear it for the London Spitfire.
In their run-back match, all is on the line for the tournament life of the London Spitfire. The winner of this match gets to join Spark and Florida in the top 4. Have to see what happens next. I like to see the positivity on the London Spitfire's face. I love back when he was smiling. We got to tune into him real quick there. And we are moving on to push. We're going on to Esperanza.
Esperanza is a great map choice here for the Spitfire. This composition has worked wonders when it comes down to the use of the Symmetra to be able to navigate around these more open corridors of the map, and we've seen them pull out some major comebacks on this map in particular. But Boston Uprising, how much more can you outsmart them? Because Boston, time and time again, they've been able to get the upper hand. That's been 2 matches in a row, and Boston Uprising are staring down the barrel of completing this map and being able to make it forward to that top 4. They can taste it, they're hungry. They know the weight of this match and what it means for them and their team.
And trying to play into their strengths here. Going into Esperanza, they're going to rely on the teleport like we saw in Suravasa, where they're going to be able to take control of the high ground as quickly as possible for those counter rotates, for that positional advantage. And also to highlight the fact that they originally did try to go to New Queen City when they first played off against the Boston Uprising day 1, and that did not work out for them. They actually got dominated, so taking a different approach with a similar game plan here.
Esperanza's been great too because it's been a very classic dive map. But what London Spitfire have been able to bring to the table is just playing to their own game. We've seen them run this composition even on other classic dive maps like Gibraltar. Who would have ever expected to see a Reinhardt sim comp on a map like that where London Spitfire were able to get the edge? But here we are in the neutral. The gates are open, the teams are ready, and they're fighting over this push bot.
Oh, Smurf. Playing his life on the edge real quick. Ziak and Lijiang getting caught in the fire strike before backing away. Decay incredibly low while Lijiang a little aggressive by the wall here. But it's playing around that next corner, trying to take control of this bot here down the middle as Smurf tries to isolate Hadi. I love that with the jab spin, pushing him away. Forced out Landon to use the lamp early to save Hadi and isolate the London Spitfire backline. In that moment, Izayaki already had the window, and that's just profits. All the stocks going in favor for the Boston Uprising.
Boston have been so good at recognizing when the immortality field is out, when to focus it down, and when to be able to pick up those kills. And so now they get a chance to take control of this bot and start to round this first corner before London Spitfire can come back. You can see Smurf already walking up to meet them so that it's harder for them to even get through that insane front line. Smurf has a ton of overhealth and shield that's going to be really rough to be able to work through, especially when that javelin spin is online.
Smurf is so scary. Fighting in this side room right here as Burgering activates artillery. Just waiting to see Spitfire with the retaliation of the lamp, but Sparker takes up too much. Smurf having them right where he wants them with the 4K. Once again served up for Smurf to feast on. Boston Uprising specifically, Smurf having such a great opening to this game.
And Smurf is feeling himself too. You can tell how much confidence he's able to walk into these fights with. And with that team fight win, Boston Uprising have already captured that first checkpoint. They are halfway to being able to get this victory. But Hottie coming back with a vengeance.
Oh, the answer back, allowing Sparker to have an open field day, following up from that shatter and still holding on to all their other ults going into that next fight.
That is so big. All they needed was the Earth Shatter there, so they have a plethora to be able to respond. And they've been good at doing that. But who's gonna hit those skills first? Is it gonna be the Terror Surge? Boston Uprising like to play a little bit patiently, waiting for London Spitfire to throw something like the Amplification Matrix out, and then walking right into it. Look at Smurf trying to get in position, but Burger's already down!
Oh, that's just gonna allow Sparker to get a double with the nade onto the back line. Found 3 into that entire engagement while Hottie finished off the rest of the Boston Uprising. London Spitfire with another dominating team fight win, whilst, by the way, still holding on to that sound barrier.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? Sparker was able to just throw that nade into the back line and was able to pick up 2. The arena is so wild right now with London Spitfire just meters away from being able to capture this checkpoint as well. But they gotta give up some space as Boston Uprising are able to come back in. And there's that Terror Surge Dragon Blade combination that Admiral is gonna have to be so careful for. Being on this high ground is risky. Is he gonna be able to land the beat in time if Boston Uprising walk up?
Have to see here, the artillery strike, oh my, what? Oh, no way! A 4K! A 4K with the artillery? Are you serious? What happened to no profit off the ult? What happened to the ult creating the space? Everybody gets stirred for Sparker.
When have we ever seen a play like that? That was 4 members of the Boston Uprising falling to the last dredges of their artillery. And London Spitfire able to capture that first point. They start to overtake the meterage of Boston Uprising. But they gotta back away. Smurf is back. He's got that Terror Surge. He hasn't been able to use it yet. And Boston Uprising are packing a full slate of ultimates to be able to throw at this next fight. Admiral still has that beat. But what to use it for? That's the big question.
I love how they're just holding on to this high ground right here. Their artillery just to force them off, or at least build in some space if they can, delaying each hit real quick. A little scary, Brandon, all right?
That was close.
Restabilizing Admiral there. Izayaki going down first. Dropping down from the high ground with a shatter to answer back. It's a team wipe. Thanks to Hottie coming in with the rest of London Spitfire to get even more progress on the bot.
Boston Uprising haven't been able to use their ultimates. They threw the artillery so early, but where's been the follow-up?
How do they get to the high ground when they don't have a TP? They've been holding on to it, and that's why London Spitfire is fine, not going and overextending with the bot. Look at them back away again.
They can't. They can't. London Spitfire know that they have that meterage advantage. All they have to do right now is play smart, stall, play defensively. They can play keep away with this bot so that Boston Uprising, the onus is on them right now to set the pace.
Oh, they know they're trying to go around them. They're trying to wrap and sandwich the London Spitfire, but the photon barrier prevents just that. Saving Hottie through the window and through the wall to find Burger and Lijiang. The Terror Surge from Smurf to find what? To find what? To find yourself on the other side of Sparker's barrel. And it's even more progress on the bot before clearing out the Uprising.
These meters are ticking away and London Spitfire can taste this map. They are getting so close to the finish line, and Boston Uprising threw 4 ultimates at that fight to no avail. London right now have all of the wind in their sails. They've got another Sparker ult. He hit a 4K with this last time, and London Spitfire are gonna continue to play this defensively, knowing that they've got a great lead.
Every team fight they win, they get progress on the bot. They don't have to overextend. Just hold Boston Uprising right here
Smurf is so
below
low.
their feet. Look, they're trying to take these flanking angles, but they literally can't. Admiral's positioning right next to Backbone that could just set up a TP here. Unless they bait out the TP, waste that opportunity for that rotate, they're forced to go around.
And this is so rough as well, because if they take this other position where Boston Uprising are trying to walk up these stairs, London Spitfire can just take a TP away and say, okay, goodbye.
Oh, say hello to my little friend there. Takes out the
Her
lamp.
red spot again.
Now. But that's the counter rotate. That's the TP that they had. Artillery strike. Now to do exactly what we saw Burgering do earlier. This time just to force off the Uprising from the high
switched
ground.
sides.
Literally swapping sides, yeah. Looking at a double-sided mirror here. Ziaki's about to get the window though. That could be important. With Parker going down. This is the opening that they needed. Provided by Burgering here. Chasing down after Lantern. And Boston Uprising. Finally! Their plan's working. Going around to take the bridge and swap sides with the Spitfire.
It has been a few team fights, but Boston Uprising finally have the bot back in their control. And they need 50 meters to be able to catch up to the London Spitfire, but this is where it starts. This is where it starts. They gotta get to that first checkpoint. They gotta start pushing, but they can't yet because London Spitfire were able to come back so quickly with those forward spawns. So Boston, though, they're set up right now, but they'd love to be able to get this artillery down with the Terra Surge. But London.
Oh, and again, through the jackspin again, it happens. But they use the TP to get out immediately, shaking it off. And they are also wasting the window that was used from the Uprising. Photon Barrier to re-engage here from the Spitfire, going around the bot. Less than 2 minutes now on the clock, and Uprising have 3 ults to work with, almost 4 with the Case Blade. Here goes the Terra Surge, and with the sound barrier to keep the Uprising in this aggressive state. Hadi has his barrier broken down, Barry comes in, the damage is done, and they retake the bot with the limited time bank that they have.
But now Boston Uprising are set up into a much better position for themselves. It took them a while to get the ball rolling, but now they've got the Decay Blade. How much has he been able to pop off with these before? And Burgering also able to help zone off the London Spitfire so that Boston Uprising can get so close. Nobody can touch yet. And Backbone is down!
Oh, with Backbone going down, and the Blade follow-up, the dash, finding it from Decay as he activates the Blade. Trying to force the Spitfire to back away. How are you kidding me? The Boston Uprising, with this limited time bank, have now surpassed the Spitfire on this bot.
They've made a great comeback, but it's not over just yet. 50 seconds remaining. Boston Uprising have the Amp Matrix, but London Spitfire behind them. Hadi is down!
Oh, he went forward beyond the window of his own team into the face of the Boston Uprising, but the answer from Sparker may have been the answer here that they needed. Admiral and Sparker clear out the Boston Uprising, avenging Hadi.
Hadi was a bait there. Boston Uprising fell for it. What? To go play some tiny Overwatch, and London Spitfire are back. This Dimension Teleporter also allowing them to get back to the neutral so much faster as Admiral starts to grab that bot over that midpoint. Admiral gets a little low. Boston Uprising are coming back into this one, and with 7 seconds remaining, this is gonna have to be a fight on the bot. Overtime is gonna be active.
They can't get off this bot. They can't. And Smurf is about to get the Terror Surge. Lijiang's about to get the Sound Barrier. They are wrapping down around Spitfire ults. Overtime taken away. Landon had already used the lamp here. Photon Barrier could be used, but the Terror Surge finds a 3K! The backline is gone, and the Boston Uprising, with Hadi's last breath, Boston Uprising punch their way into the top 4, eliminating the London Spitfire.
Third time was not the charm, and Boston Uprising have had London Spitfire's number the entire back half of the season. But a valiant effort from the Spitfire, sadly not enough to be able to overtake the Titans that are the Boston Uprising. And once again, history is going to repeat itself as Boston book their ticket and be able to continue on that legacy that they have been able to build up over several generations of these talented players.
Giving a round of applause to the Boston Uprising as they sit alongside Spark and Florida in the top 4.
That was a hard-fought battle. That was a hard-fought battle. The crowd was so divided as well. A lot of London fans, a lot of Boston fans, but I know that everybody has been a London fan in their hearts. But Boston Uprising, they've got it done. They were able to make the magic. And with the man at the helm, it's Smurf, your player of the match.
The actual legend himself won Roll Star for Tank back in 2022. 2020 Grand Finals champ. Can he do it again after this insane performance, finding the answer to the team that was loved, running the Reinhardt together, and with this adjustment, enabling the rest of the Uprising, finding these answers, even on Esperanza, when they had to go for a flanking position to grab onto the high ground. Beautiful Terror Surge utilization, the Javelin at the very end, yeeting it.
Those Terror Surge kills, though. Like this is just Esperanza, but Terror Surge was just such a powerful ability for Smurf. And it makes and takes an incredible tank player to be able to bring it to one of the most legendary Reinhardts in the entire world. It takes a very special player to do that, and a very special team to have cracked the code, and Boston Uprising are the only team to have been able to do it.
Taking it again, 3-1, by the way. Actually insane to see the script continue on in the domination for the Boston Uprising. Again, congratulations to London Spitfire for making it so far, sticking true to their guns. But it's the Boston Uprising. I'm gonna toss it over to the stage with an interview with Lijiang.
Vicky and Necro, thank you so much. Yes, I am here joined by Lijiang from Boston Uprising. Everybody, give it up for Lijiang.
Hello,
Hello, hi. How are you feeling? 어떠세요 지금 기분?
I'm good.
You're good. I mean, you look great on stage as well. I mean, when you were playing against London Spitfire. Talking about London Spitfire, this was your third time going up against them, including the play-ins and of course the playoffs. How did you feel going up against this time around? Were you really confident because you guys already have beaten them twice already? 자, 첫 번째 질문은 오늘 승리 축하드리면서 이번이 런던과의 세 번째 경기거든요. 플레이인까지 통합을 해서
네네.
오늘 경기 들어오면서 좀 어떠셨는지 궁금합니다. 일단 벌써 두 번 이겼기 때문에 조금 좀 쉬울 거라고 예상을 좀 하셨나요?
사실 이제 런던이 이제 한마디 하기를 이겼을 때 다시 만나면 저희를 이길 수 있다고 한 세 번 정도 얘기한 것 같은데 그건 조금 이제 아직 힘들지 않을까 런던 입장에서.
If I could borrow London's word, I remember every time we beat them, they said that if we face Boston again, we could beat them. But I mean, it didn't really. It was pretty difficult fight for London all throughout, and it was. You guys beat them 3 times. You guys were the better team. Let's look into the future now. You guys are making into the semifinals, and your first opponent in the semifinals is Florida Mayhem. Now they are a team that could really play a lot of different compositions, and I think it will be a great match. Lijiang, what's your take on the Florida Mayhem, and how do you think that match is gonna flow out? 자, 다음 경기 준결승전입니다. 이제 플로리다 메이햄과의 경기가 있을 텐데요. 그 경기 좀 어떻게 흘러갈 것 같으신가요?
아무래도 지금 메임 같은 경우가 제일 강팀이라고 생각하기 때문에 좀 많이 준비해야 될 것 같고요. 지금 오버워치 현 메타가 조금 물리고 물리는 조합이라고 생각이 돼서 많은 조합이 나올 거라 예상이 됩니다.
Definitely, Florida Mayhem is a strong team, so I do feel like we will have to prepare a lot for them. And right now, currently, the meta is sort of you could beat a certain meta, a certain composition with another composition. So I do feel like in that semifinals matchup against Florida Mayhem, we're gonna see a lot of different compositions coming out. All right, everybody, give it up for Lijiang one more time. That is all I got. Zoe, back to you.
Thank you so much, Danny. Congratulations to the Boston Uprising as they're moving on in the bracket. What a match it was. It was great to see the London Spitfire fight back. They did fight hard to get here, and they have an army of fans supporting them. Unfortunately, this is where their playoffs journey has to end. But we have to talk about the match we just got to witness. How did Boston Uprising manage to, do it 3 times to them?
I mean, Smurf on the Orisa has just been sensational in this matchup, and has had Hadi's number for most of it. The Fortify to prevent the Earth Shatters from getting any kind of value, the Javelins as well, the Terra Surge here, combining at some point with Birdring as well, dropping the Bastion ultimate. I mean, the Boston Uprising, they just know how to navigate around the London Spitfire here. And it's very difficult for London Spitfire to take any of these engagements, right? You can teleport around all you want, and you can try to utilize Hadi's hammer, but Smurf is going to stand in your way, and it's really hard for the Reinhardt to get any kind of value in this tank matchup.
I feel that Boston, in every time they played the London Spitfire, yes, London came with adaptations. Yes, they knew how to adjust their style, but Boston was improving at the same rate and even faster, continuing to surpass the London Spitfire, putting their individual mechanics on the line, taking those gambles and winning them time and time again because these players are just so effective at what they do. I saw more and more of these ult combos coming out with the Terra Surge. Even Lijiang getting in there on the Terra Surge, pooping the whole team of the London Spitfire into a position they don't want to be. Really, those innovative level of plays, we didn't see that from other teams trying to make this comp work against the London Spitfire. And you've got to give Boston props as the only team to have answered the London Spitfire confidently. A couple other teams were able to beat the Rhine comp, but it was never as sure-footed as it was for the Boston Uprising. And so I think for Boston, it's time to move on. It's time to look forward to that next match against the Florida Mayhem. That's going to be a very tough one, but I have the confidence in Boston as an adaptable team, potentially even to give the Florida Mayhem a challenge. I think that's going to be an electric semifinal.
As the only London fan, I gotta shout out my London boys really quickly. I mean, I think everyone, to be honest, everyone loved watching London Spitfire. They're such a joy to watch. They're so fun to watch, and on top of that, I feel like they're special because I think they teach us a really important lesson about Overwatch. It's sometimes if you trust in your teammates and if you're really confident in what you could really play good, then run with it. And even if it's like a off-meta, I guess, composition, you can make a deep run even into the playoffs, just like London Spitfire has shown, right? They're top 6. They made it here with only using Rhine Rush, and I think that's a big statement.
Yeah, I mean, look, this was a team that really was struggling to start the year. This was a London Spitfire team that was trying to play a composition that wasn't necessarily their go-to composition. Hadi struggled on the Winston, and they couldn't get these dives going. But picking the Reinhardt composition, they know that's their bread and butter from their 2022 season as well. They were just way more comfortable and looked way more relaxed, right? The pressure was off their shoulders. They were having a great time. And that's what the power of friendship gets you all the way to the playoffs here in Toronto.
I mean, there was an interview when we were back in the studio over in LA. They did tell us in a post-game interview that the other compositions didn't work for them, and having to play compositions they're not even comfortable with, they're not having fun. With the Reinhardt composition, yeah, they lost some games, but at least they're having fun whilst doing so. They were here vibing, the audience was vibing with them. They rolled with their own style all the way to the playoffs, and you can't help but to love what you got to see from the London Spitfire. Incredible season, incredible end to the season. The journey ends here. Let's take a look at the bracket to know exactly where we currently are at for our grand finals. We are getting ready to get the last pairing. Hangzhou Spark currently waiting for their opponent, and we now know that the Boston Uprising will have to face off against the Florida Mayhem. Those two teams were in the top 4 of the West. They were battling each other out together with Atlanta as well as Houston Outlaws out there. So it was electrifying all season long. We finally find out who will come out on top, and in what great fashion than in the postseason, right? Now, before we are heading into the next match between Houston Outlaws and Dallas, we want to once more shine a light to something that we've been all enjoying so much all season long, and of course talking about fan art. We got plenty of artists here in the building and also at home. You guys submitted amazing content all season long, and you can keep on submitting your gallery, your art into our gallery for a chance to be featured on the show. We also have an art station right here in the building, so make sure to, get those signs out. Rakatak, I see you, we see you. That's right, lady. What else? What else we got going? Fan signs are just one of our absolute favorites things, aren't they?
That's a fantastic sign.
That's a fantastic fan art.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League Fan Art Collection. This is going to be a celebration of the artists in our community showing their love for the Overwatch League as we head into the playoffs, as well as the grand finals. And joining us to help commemorate some of the league's most memorable fan art is no other than Overwatch 2's very own senior character artist, Rakan Kamash. Rakan, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, super happy to be here and excited to look at all the awesome work that the fans have made.
The first artist I want to take a look at is Angela. Angela has been sending in so much throughout the entire season and the prior seasons, actually, for the last 6 years. If you're watching the league, then you will know exactly what this is about. The desk friendship in the Overwatch League ended with Costa. Jake replaced him for this season. Costa went into casting, why ever he would leave us. So we kept on making fun about that. So it was really funny to once again have a quick turnaround